It's working. Thank God. Hey, had some technical difficulties there trying to get everything set up. It's the first one of these I've ever scheduled, so it's a little different. So anyway, at least it's working now. Make sure everyone knows where we're going. If you're watching this in the future, I'm sorry for just like dead air where you get to see me stare at a phone and pedal. All right, that's done. Now I need to fire up the Zwift app, Zwift companion. There it is. I changed the location of a bunch of apps on my phone for some dumb reason. Now I can't find anything. So this is the London route, Greater London Flat, Greatest London Flat, I think is what it's called. Um, Thought this would be fun. Not going for anything super strenuous today. Kind of just trying to get some pedaling in. I haven't done a lot of cycling for the past week or so. I figured this would be a nice, easy day. Had a kind of moderate session running yesterday. Training officially starts Monday for the 10K. I mean, for the half marathon. So Monday I'll start hitting it pretty heavy. The plan is Monday to do about a 4 mile run, another 4 mile run on Tuesday. I'll probably do. Thanks, Michelle. Cute outfit. Thank you. Uh, Probably do Monday, Tuesday, 4 hour or 4 mile runs, and then rest Wednesday. Actually, probably do some of this Wednesday night next week. Then Thursday, rest. Friday, rest. Saturday with a long run, about a 6 mile run, and then Sunday is a track day. Um, I'm kind of stuck doing long runs and track days on Saturdays and Sundays right now because of like light and the ability to access a track when it's not dark, when school's not in session, which pretty much only leaves me the weekends. So, so the plan, I may switch them the Saturday and Sunday, the track day of the long run. I have a feeling, I mean, I've done 6 mile runs before and I know where I plan to run it. Um, I don't think it's going to be too much of a hassle. So it might be a good idea to do that on Sunday if I plan to lead into another run on Monday, which I typically do. I like to get those runs in as early as possible in the week because you never know what the weather's going to do. So if I know I've got a good weather window on Monday, I definitely hit it Monday. That way, in case it rains or snows even in this time of year on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I know I've at least got the one run in, and I can build up from there. One of the ideas about the trainer was that I could use this a day or two to make up for not being able to run the short runs. I don't want to do that for the long runs. So the thought was an hour and a half or so on a bike should be equivalent to an hour on the road, like running. So, and I mean that tends to bear out. Uh, Kind of depends on the route. Over here on this route, an hour and a half of this. I mean, I just pushed up a small hill. I don't think this route's going to have many large hills based on the total elevation, but I just pushed up a small hill. And at most, my heart rate's at 123 right now. And of course, that'll go higher if I was to somehow magically double back and do that again. My heart rate might be up into the 130s. But I can control it. I think extending the time because cycling is generally easier on the muscles, at least this type of sort of light resistance cycling tends to be easier on the muscles than running is. Definitely easier on the joints. Then I think extending the time, at least an hour and a half for every hour I would run, I think that works. But I don't want to give up those long runs, not just because I don't want to spend forever sitting on a bike. I feel like the long runs are more important to my overall running health. And so I don't really want to give those up. So long runs in this upcoming training cycle for this next 6 months, it may be a sort of do it regardless of what the weather looks like situation. So your boy may be running in the rain, running in the snow. That's not going to be fun. I'm going to be complaining. God. That's annoying when I'm uncomfortable. So also it will mean if I do end up having to run in rain or snow, it'll probably mean I'll change the location. My typical place for long runs right now is it's a bit exposed. It's right on the road. It's a running trail that runs along Route 9 between Martinsburg and Charlestown, West Virginia. And it's right along the road. Like there's almost never trees or anything like that between the cars and you. There's some, grass. But that means that as cars pass by, And just generally the fact that all of the trees are down, it creates more wind and generally it's a little cooler. That's kind of nice in the summertime, but in the winter, especially if it's raining or snowing, it's going to get rough. So my plan would be in that kind of situation to shift to the C&O Canal, which is mostly covered, maybe a mud pit. It may even be icier too, depending on what happens. We'll have to just play it by ear. But I'm trying to develop scenarios in my head right now so that when the inevitable does happen, I have a backup plan instead of what I would normally do, which is to like, I'm not going to run to make another pot of coffee and go down to the corner store and get a cake or something like that, you know. So the idea is to plan for eventualities. And then at least when I look back, I can't say, oh, well, I couldn't run this week because of this or that, because I will already have a plan in place. I have to sort of own that decision more so than I might if I hadn't planned for it, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I chose this route just because it was fairly long. I think 15 point something miles, and it's fairly flat. It's not going to give me too much of a hassle. And I won't get in. I get into situations where I'm on a route and I come across some, like a hill or something, and I think, oh, I want to push a little harder here. And then I come across another and want to push a little harder and push a little harder to prove that I can do it. And then I end up kind of in trouble. Not in trouble. That's not the word. That's not the phrasing I should use. I end up doing a heavier workout, like more of a load than I expected to. And that has a tendency to throw the whole week off course. I don't want to give this up because I love it. I mean, it's really great. The before honestly, before I started watching people's videos on YouTube of doing this, I thought the idea of having a trainer would be absolutely insane. Like I wouldn't use it as much as I would need to make it worth my while. And it would be kind of clunky and it would be in the way and too loud. I mean, there's all kinds of thoughts that I had before I bought this thing. Um, it wouldn't be realistic enough. I would get bored with it. And I think part of that is just that I thought maybe I'd be a little better than I am. And I would be already working my way up into harder cycling. And I'm not that good. And I haven't yet, which is fine. That's great because that means there's room to grow with it. Um, when I first started this, I had an FTP of like 160, and I believe it's up to 180 now, and possibly, I don't know. Garmin seems to think, or maybe it's Strava, it's one of the two. One of them thinks I have an FTP of 195. Um, but I think Zwift, last time I did a harder route, it told me 180. So, so yeah, I'm working my way up. I did a race last week, didn't do well, didn't finish. If you didn't see my last week's stream, you may not have heard about it. So I start this race. Actually, I started like an easy route one day, and it's going and it's going and it's fine. And then suddenly, like, my computer freezes. And I'm like, oh no, this is awful. This is a new computer. I don't know what's going wrong. Uh, must just be a glitch. Don't know. Restart everything. And I think this race has V level racers in it. Let me try that. So I hop into a race and I see as I'm entering the race that D level is anywhere from like a 100 FTP to like a 225 or 250, something like that. And I think, wow, I'm probably biting off a little more than I can chew here. I should be able to do this race. I should be able to finish. I don't think I'm going to do well. And sure enough, I didn't do well. At the point that I stopped, oh, and so yeah. To finish the story first, I got about halfway through the race, into the lead in, through the first lap, about halfway through the second lap of three, and my computer freezes again. And I let a stream of expletives fly. I'm sure if my neighborhood had heard it, they were like wondering what the fuck's going on, what the hell's going on. I shouldn't say that on a live stream. My bad. So they so I just quit it, went to bed angry. Um but yeah, I was 23rd out of 28 when that stopped. And I think I could have finished there. Um would have depended on a few things. The closest guy behind me, I was I was like gaining distance on him, but there's a whole other lap and a half to go. It could have been one of those deals where he would have found like an extra gear there at the end, or I would have been a little more blown out than he was, and he could have taken it from me. But I mean, I guess that means I would finish at least like 24th out of 28, which for a first race, I'm willing to take it. I just wanted to finish. I was really kind of upset about not finishing, but it is what it is. So I haven't really tried to race since then because I have not been trying to push hard this week, but kind of, and last week to an extent. I've been trying to think of them a little as recovery weeks since I'm going to be starting the training all in next week. So um yeah, so that's really it. Didn't want to push too hard. Not really sure. Um my guess is going to be that streams and any cycling that I do on this is going to be at this sort of pace for the foreseeable future. But at a certain point, I don't want to just improve running. I want to improve my cycling as well. And at a certain point, I'm going to have to start doing some of the harder workouts and pushing a little bit harder to try to improve my cycling as well as the running. Not really sure when that's going to happen. I want to let the running kind of burn in, if that's the right terminology. That's like IT terminology, but anyway. So New Jersey, new kit, Star Trek themed. I ordered this right after Christmas. It took forever to get here. I'm pretty stoked about it. It's a little looser than I expected. Um, I guess their sizing is just a little bit different than the last company I bought from. Uh, it only came with 3 pips instead of 4. So I guess I'm like the first mate instead of the captain. I'm Riker. Because this is like next generation color set, right? So I would be Riker, I think. Or did he have like 3 and then like the half one where it was just the outside and the inside wasn't filled in? I can't remember. But yeah, I think it's pretty dope. So far it feels good. It feels about the same as the other jerseys. Of course, I haven't tested the pockets in the back, but it does seem like from what I'm feeling, I have like 3 pockets here, whereas on other jerseys It usually is just like one big, at least the other jerseys I have, it's like one big pocket. So the three pockets may come in handy later on if I ever need to carry like a water bottle or something in there. So kind of happy about that. That way it won't be like falling down and stuff. Let's see. There we go. I have the sun coming out here. I don't know what the day-night cycle looks like in Zwift. I mean, I know it's not morning in London yet. It's probably like midnight, right? I think it's 5 hours. Might be six. Or no, I think it's five and it becomes six during the summertime. Yeah, either way. It is kind of neat though. I've always wanted to visit London, and now I can virtually. So I have three water bottles today instead of my normal two. They're all three bike water bottles. My last, oh cool, I'm crossing a bridge. My last couple of streams, I've had one bike bottle and one Nalgene bottle because my other two bike bottles were in my car, and I finally got my car back. So I got those other two bottles out, got them cleaned, and they're ready to go. I'm not sure what bridge this is in London. Commanders have three pips. So Commanders like Jordy, right? But he wore like a brown uniform. I don't think this cycling jersey is screen accurate. Maybe my problem is expecting a cycling jersey to be screen accurate. Going underground? This is awesome. Oh, thanks for putting the plywood down so I don't have to ride down the steps. Oh, do I get to hop the train? I do. This is awesome. I'm in the underground. Riker. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. So that's that's what I was expecting. That it would be like the first number one, better than number two. I got a lot of those. Ooh, that's a spicy joke right there. I love that in London, I'm riding on the left hand side of the road, whereas on every other spot, I'm on the right. At least all the other spots that I've been to so far here in Watopia. I think in that new, is it Macquarie Island? I think greenish is science. Is it greenish? I always thought they were like gold. Either way, Richmond Park. Oh, please let there be Ted Lasso references. That would be fantastic. Green, gold, whatever. I did finally get a fan. Um, I only have it on like one right now, though. I don't want to have it interfere with the microphone, and I also don't want to get too cold. So I don't know how much good it's going to do me. Nerd. I'm a nerd. The lady who's telling me Star Trek uniform colors is calling me a nerd. Oh, it's the eye off to the left there. That's cool. I don't know if there are in-game Easter eggs, but there should be. Like if there's not a TARDIS somewhere in London, someone should get fired. I'm cool, man. You are cool, Michelle. So if anyone wants to join in the chat, feel free. I can't type, but I can talk back. The more the merrier. As long as you're cool. Like, don't bring any of that weak stuff around, man. Cool. So last week, I was talking a little about Top Gun Maverick. So I thought that would be fun to talk about like movies and stuff as we ride. So where do we request Mario Kart gimmicks? If they can't stop people from cheating in races, I don't think they're going to add Mario Kart gimmicks. I'm sorry. Although you can like, I don't know, send an email to Zwift support and be like, I want them blue turtle shells. Give me some of them bananas. Although there's like no uh like you can't hit people. So I don't know that any of that will be super effective in this game. So HBO Max premiered a new game show called The Climb. Not to be confused with the video game called The Climb, or I think the feature film called The Climb. Like, come on, guys, there's better ways of naming stuff. They could have called it like Sending It, something like that. Anyway, we have the technology. So The Climb was organized by Jason Momoa and um, Chris Sharma. And for those who don't know, Chris Sharma, well, like I'd say the most famous climber right now is Alex Honnold. and Chris Sharma would have been like the Alex Honnold of the 90s, kind of like he was a superstar. He was one of the guys that even people outside of climbing knew, less so than today. Like, I think I think a greater percentage of the non-climbing population knows who Alex Honnold is today than knew who Chris Sharma was back then. But that's just an effect of like the way the media's changed and stuff like that. So it's a it's a climbing competition show where they take, I want to say they start with 8 or 10 climbers, and it's, oh, what do they call it? It's like an elimination style competition. So like Big Brother, or wait, Big Brother might not, I don't know. I never watched an episode of Big Brother in my life. What am I talking about? Like oh shoot, American Idol. This shows you how old I am when it comes to competition shows. Like I'm going back to American Idol. You know, so every week there's a player who gets kicked out and then they move on to the next week. And so they premiered with 3 episodes of this show. And Jason Momoa is obviously kind of just there to sell it because he appears like at the beginning of every episode to talk with Chris Sharma. Now, I should say Momoa is like a legit climber. Um, Momoa was like doing this stuff at the same time Sharma was. He wasn't doing competition climbing so much, but he was doing like bouldering, outdoor climbing back in the 90s. Um, he was putting in his dues just like everyone else. So I don't want to sell this like it's some guy who saw it on, who like saw Free Solo or the Dawn Wall and thought, oh, that's cool. Like find someone and produce a show like that. Like he was legit. I mean, he's had uh interviews in climbing magazines and stuff like that since. But he's not like an integral part of the show. He's just there to sell it. And there's a woman whose name I forget, and I'm really sorry for forgetting it because she seems great. But she and Sharma are like the judges or whatever. Like they're the 2 hosts, even though it was pitched as Momoa and Sharma. Um, in fact, I really wish I remembered her name because I like her perspective almost a little more than Sharma's, but I'll get into that. So here's my problem. So I'm a climber. Um, just so everyone knows where I'm coming from when I say this. Like I'm a gym climber mostly. I have climbed outside. I have led sport climbs. Sport climbs are where there's bolts in the wall and you clip something into the bolt and clip it across your rope to protect yourself. So I've led sport climbs. I think the hardest one I ever led was a 5.7. Um, so I know about, like I'm versed in climbing. I'm not very good at it. I've never led a trad route where you have to like place your own protection. I have some gear for it, but I've never had a chance to lead it. But I have been on trad climbing trips where I followed. And so when you follow, you clean the gear as the leader will put the gear in, flip the rope in. Whenever they get up to the top, they start to belay you and you pull the gear out as you climb. So I've done that, but I've never led climb and I don't push grades. Like I'm never have been. I don't know if it's just the weight. Part of it's fear. I know I've got some fears still around falling. I have both fears around failure when it comes to climbing and fears around success. It's a weird thing because if you're successful at it, then you're like expected to be able to do it every time. And so then if you can't do it every time, like were you really successful? I get in my own head way too much on this stuff. So I just want to let you guys know where I'm coming from. So I'm not just some guy who's like seen a couple movies. Like I know some things about how climbing works. Um, I get excited when when climbing entered the Olympics. That was really cool. I get really pissed off though when NBC decides like, oh, we're not going to show any of that on TV, or at least not on streaming services, despite the fact that most young people use streaming services, and the Olympic Committee specifically added surfing and skateboarding and climbing to like appeal to younger viewers. But NBC's like, nah, that's all right. We're not going to do that. But that's okay. I mean, they can throw money away if they want, but I was still excited for it. But that goes to my point. So what you have in the show is a whole bunch of really good climbers who get taken basically to Europe. I think all three of the first episodes take place in Europe, and get to climb some really sick routes. Like the first climb, it's actually one of Sharma's specialties. Oh, am I about to cross Tower Bridge? That's dope. That's awesome. Anyway, it's deep water soloing. So it's essentially you're climbing on rock, but if you fall, you're bouldering, so you're climbing without a rope. And if you fall, you hit the ocean. It's like a 45-foot route that they climb. So you have to fall right, but if you do, but it's again, an elimination style competition show. It's reconnection successful. Shoot, did I just lose like a chunk of my screen? I guess we'll find out in a bit. Anyway, um, so it's a elimination style competition show, which means at the end of every week, someone gets sent home. And I'm watching this like it's not like we don't already have a model for how to run a climbing competition. And Sharma knows this because he's like Mr. Climbing Competition from back in the day, right? So I don't understand. Like, it would have been really easy to set it up so you invite 10, 12 people or whatever it is. Everyone climbs every week. They rate people on how well they climb. And then at the end, the winner gets the prize. But instead, they do this elimination style thing, which does a couple of things. Number one, it gamifies the results. And now this happened in the first episode. There wasn't a disconnect. Oh, good. Okay, cool. Thanks. It happened in the first episode already. There was a guy who got above the bottom because they've been told, like, who moves on is going to be based on how high they climb up this wall. So he knows he's safe, and it's raining a little bit, and he's on a wet wall. So rather than trying to send it, he gets high enough, and then he just bails and jumps in the water. And Sharma, like, spoilers, I'm sorry. But Sharma, like, gets on him about that. He's like, we want you to push, we invited you on this because we want you to push to your limit or whatever. And I get where the guy's coming from because, like, he's risking an injury. Like, it's no good to, like, in the first week of a competition like this, to, like, get injured and have to go home or whatever, um, if he doesn't need to. Now, if it was a traditional style climbing competition where you get scored on how high you make it up the wall, and then those scores get tallied, and then like at the end of the competition, so at the end of however, I'm not sure how many weeks this is running, 10 maybe, at the end of the whole thing, whoever wins wins. That would have made a lot more sense. Because the other thing that happens is these are all really cool like people. They're amateur climbers, but they're all like, they're all cool. They're all doing it for their own reasons. It comes with, I think the winner gets like 100 grand, and then on top of that, like $100,000 sponsorship deal. with I think it's called Pravda. It's a clothing company that Sharma is either sponsored by or is affiliated with it somehow. But but yeah, that's just it. It's just like, you know, we already have a model for what a climbing competition looks like. We didn't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to introduce this like phony baloney reality show BS, you know, to something like climbing. We could have just done this competition style. And I don't know what compelled them to do otherwise. But that's the one thing about the show that I don't like, the general format. So, but I'm going to keep watching. I mean, look, I love climbing. I wish I was better at it. It's something I want to focus a little more on this year. But I love watching climbing. If there's a climbing movie I haven't seen, I want to see it. Um, it's a beautiful sport, gets you outside, works you a lot harder than you'd think it would. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Um, and all the people on the show just are really cool. I just kind of wish they would have formatted it differently, and then you know we wouldn't have had to risk like the negative BS that comes from standard reality show type stuff where we're kicking people off every week. But that's just me. Working a little harder. Heart rate's up to 135, but that's fine. Then like right around here is about the highest I want it to be right now. That was the long rant about the climb, wasn't it? Everybody else is like HBO Max. I'm not paying $15 a month. Okay. All right. Let's see. I may have some trouble with my audio according to YouTube. Let's see if there's anything I can do to help that along. I'm not sure. Oh, well, I wish it would show me what the current bit rate is. It says it was 0, but I don't know if that means that it was like 0 for a minute and then it came back or what, or if it's just because I wasn't talking. So, shoot, there we go. Let me turn this microphone volume up. If I start blowing anyone's ears out, let me know. Looks like it might be coming up closer to the high mark. So Just want to make sure that I'm not gonna be too loud. Yeah, Michelle, I think it's a volume issue. If they detect volume at a certain level, and it could be that I was just quiet for a while. I normally don't see those messages because I don't have YouTube itself open, but I scheduled this because I wanted to try out the scheduling features, and I got a little confused by the setup. So I wanted to make sure that I had everything working right. But yeah, so but if you can hear the audio, that's good. The gear so I don't get too spicy there. I don't have anything to prove today. Oh, I'm gonna go by Big Ben. Cool. That's a really big clock. This is really cool. This whole like riding through London thing. This is I've seen a London course before, bit of a short, and it wasn't like filled with landmarks like this one has been. It was a race that I was watching someone, I think it was the vegan cyclist did it. I think it goes by this point though. So it's oddly a big week in reality television for me because the other show that I saw was, by the way, there's all this controversy about Velma on HBO Max as well. Mindy Kaling doing Velma. Um, I watched the first episode. Really wanted to like it because I like Mindy Kaling. I don't know, maybe it's just not made for me. I mean, I wanted to like it just because she was doing it. I didn't like, honestly, I don't really care about like Scooby Doo or like keeping the Scooby Doo mythos like intact. I had no interest in that at all. But I watched it, watched the first episode. It's very meta. Like, it's a show that sort of shoved itself up its own butt a little bit. And I'm sure, like, I mean, it's not like it's the only show to ever do that. There's other shows that have done it that I think did it better. Then again, I think there's probably a certain age where that kind of stuff is a little more welcome than others. Like Community did that a lot, and I think though, I don't know, I might not like Community if it would have come out like today, you know. But I mean, it's not it's not so bad that it deserves the vitriol that it's getting. Let me put it that way. But you know, I don't. I probably won't finish it. But I saw this show called MILF Manor. So I swear, someone at TLC was watching 30 Rock and they saw MILF Island in season 2 of 30 Rock, and they said, "We can do that." And I'm gonna give up spoilers for this. So if you're like dead set on not having the plot of MILF Manor spoiled for you, then turn off now. So the trailer advertised that there was going to be this shocking twist. So I mean, if the title doesn't like, if you're like, oh, I wonder what the show's about, they haven't figured it out by the title. It's like older women, milfs, who are like living in some villa, and the idea is they would be competing for guys and whatever. So like, they didn't really talk about how they were going to do it, you know. In the 30 Rock spoof, it was like teenage boys, and you know they're not going to do that, like not teenagers. But they said there was going to be a shocking twist, and I'm like, the shocking twist is going to be that when they reveal the guys, it's going to be their kids. And sure enough, circle gets the square, which is a reference that's really old anyway. And that's exactly what it was. And so moms get to watch their sons try to score with other hot moms, and the sons get to watch the hot moms get to score with other like 22-year-old bros. It's just like it's like you're watching like television signals from the end of civilization, like bread and circuses type stuff. This is what we've come to, ladies and gentlemen. But I mean, the whole premise is like, okay, let me get all PC on us, which I guess they call woke now. I got to use the modern lingo. Let me go woke. Like the whole premise is gross. Because if it was flipped, right? Like, I have a 19-year-old daughter. If it was flipped and it was like me going on a game show to like nail 19-year-olds, and like my daughter also on the same game show trying to nail like 45-year-old guys, there'd be riots. It would be like they would they would burn down the TLC network. Like, because that's disgusting. That's like a disgusting premise. And I'm not even saying there's necessarily anything disgusting with wanting to like date older men or date younger women or vice versa. But like the idea of going on the same game show as your kid to get laid is just gross. But somehow it's acceptable for for this show. And I think the reason it's acceptable is because like they had to throw a twist in, because it can't just be moms that want to have fun, right? Like there's got to be some kind of a penance for it. Like, yeah, you get to have fun and you get to like rock out with. I was trying to figure out like this yesterday. Is there a straight equivalent to the word twink? But yeah, you get to like rock out with some like hot dude. You get to do that, but you have to have your son around too, because we have to remind you that you're a mom, and we have to remind the world that you're a mom. And it's like penance almost. that's the way I like the entire time I was watching it. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like they're just making it gross. Like, yeah, I mean, if mom wants to get her thing going, mom should be able to get her thing going without judgment, right? But I don't know. I think the whole thing is sort of set up to like make them feel guilty in some way for wanting to get down. I don't know. The show is like disgusting, but it's like a train wreck, and I couldn't turn it off. So I'll have to see if I have the intestinal fortitude to like stick it out. But yeah, it's a riot. Okay, wow. We're at an hour and 3 minutes. I need more fluids. Well, I'm at an hour and 3 minutes. Must have started the stream late because it says it's only 7:59. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not sure how much longer I want to keep this up. I'm getting the numb butt right now. So my setup today is two bottles of water, one bottle of Propel. It's lemon blackberry Propel. It's delicious. So planning for if you follow the channel, you probably saw that I have a video that I put up earlier this week, kind of explaining what my training is going to entail for the half marathon. The plan is to um, to create a video a week that will sort of wrap up the whole of the training. And I may do other videos here and there. Like I'm thinking I might do a video on some of the stretching routines that I use. If you're a big guy like me and you've had problems with your like hips and back, um, I have like 4 or 5 stretches. They're like long stretches, like a minute and a half each side, um, that I do to kind of help alleviate and loosen up the hips and the lower back. And just for kind of an example, when I was, let's see, Thanksgiving, I was supposed to run a turkey trot, and I got out of my car to like warm up, and I felt this pop in my back, and I just knew that wasn't going to be good. And so I tried to run just a little bit, like around the starting area, to see if it would hold up, and I knew it wouldn't. It was getting worse and worse the whole time. So I, so I had to bail on that race, which really sucked. But I'm happy that I did because I think if I would have tried to run it, I probably would have done more damage than it was worth. Now let's say if I come back a week later and like PR a 5K. So, um, but within the span of that week, the running coach had given me these stretches to do, and I did them like 3 times a day. So, uh, about 15 minutes total, maybe 20 minutes, 3 times a day, and like I was ready to go. Just a little over a week. Well, actually, I think I met with her on a Tuesday, and then I ran again. My next race was on Sunday. So, and yeah, those stretches were enough to get me to a position where I could run again and PR. So it's good stuff. I have a hard time reminding myself to stretch both before and after running. And it's something I need to get better at. But one of the things that I'd like to do with this channel is to be able to provide insight to like, bigger dudes who are on like a fitness journey, and they like it can be hard to find information about guys that look like me when you're perusing YouTube for fitness information. Um, there's some people I follow that used to be like my size, but um, now they're much more svelte. But I think that things like that would be pretty helpful. If you ever see in any videos anything that you want me to expand upon, just let me know. I can create a short video about it. I'm trying to learn all about video editing. So if you watched my first video and you thought, well, this kind of sucks, it's because I'm trying to learn about video editing and getting sound right and all that stuff. So and getting used to like looking at myself and listening to myself. Good God. But yeah, so that's the plan. I will have 1 or 2 more videos that'll go up between now and like a week from now, I'd say. But I would say that not to expect that first training video until like the week after. So, I mean, the plan is to kind of edit as I go. So, go out running, take some footage, throw it in the editor. Go out running again, take some footage, throw it in the editor. Cycling, throw it, etc. And then kind of piece it together and make it all work. So hopefully I can start to get them out fast and not be lagging behind too much. But I think we'll go another 5. Like an hour 15 sounds like a nice round number. I'm not sure what's on TV at 8 o'clock on Thursday night, but I've probably lost people to whatever that is. So, and again, my butt's numb. One of the things, like when you're out, you can stand up and ride and give your butt a break. It's a lot harder here because the bike doesn't sway side to side like it does when you're riding. So you can't do the thing where you're sort of like leaning the bike to the left and pushing down with your right, and then leaning the bike to the right and pushing down with your left. On top of that, one of the things that allows you to do that is a good level of resistance. And on these kind of routes on Zwift, I'm not actually getting that kind of resistance. So like if I really wanted to try to push it, I would have to like shift up and then, and even now it's I feel like I'm bouncing a little too much for my taste, but it is giving my butt a rest. And that will work those quads, man. Whew. So I hope the stream went okay today. I don't know. Stuff seems laggy a little bit, but still trying to get the hang of all this. So if there were any problems, you can drop them into the comments after the video posts. I can try to address them. What day is it? I'm needing a full system reboot now that I think about it, because I don't know if it's rebooted since past Tuesday. So that could be it. It might be that there's some update processes that are hung up and taking up more system resources than are normal. But I'm hoping that you guys aren't seeing any of that, but the stream itself is going pretty well. And that's just my cross to bear. Who knew lemon and blackberry would taste so good together, man? These people at Propel are wizards. Okay. All right, we've done an hour 15 here. I think we're good. I think I'm feeling the burn. I think I'm going to call it quits too. So thanks to everyone who's watched, everyone who's currently watching. Really appreciate the support. Uh, you can, do all the fancy like and subscribe stuff on YouTube. You can also find links to my Facebook and Instagram on my YouTube channel and Strava. Yeah, I'll put up my public Strava profile. So if you want to actually follow what I'm doing day to day as far as workouts go, that's the place to do it. Um, yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate the viewers. And pass it on. Uh, tell your friends, tell your family. I don't know, tell someone, tell your therapist. Anyway, I keep saying I'm going to end, but I don't want to end. All right. So, everyone have a good night, and we'll see.